Leisure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to present AB 2694, which will help provide much-needed relief for California renters. One of the side effects of our state's improved economy has been skyrocketing rent prices that have squeezed the working and middle-class families. California has experienced a far greater increase in rent than the national average. Research by the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities shows that low-income renters are far more likely to pay higher share of their income on housing than other higher-income households. In many urban areas, families must work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to afford the cost of housing. It's clear that a lack of affordable housing is a major driver of poverty and something that eats up a large portion of families' monthly budgets. The policy tools that the legislature has to provide relief to this problem are quite limited. Any efforts to fund the construction of the supply of housing needed to combat this problem will take many, many years. This bill will allow the legislature to provide immediate relief by doubling the size of the current renter's tax credit to $240 for a married couple and $120 for individuals. Additionally, it will increase the number of Californians eligible to receive this credit. While there are many tax benefits available to homeowners, we lack many of the same incentives for renters. Renters, which tend to have lower income on average than homeowners, deserve to get some tax relief. This bill is supported by the apartment associations and tenants' rights organizations. With me today is a lobbyist that would like to mention something on the topic.
Thank you. Keith Dunn here for
Witnesses in support.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Dunn here in support for the California Apartment Association, offering this credit to low-income renters. It goes a long way to help them continue to contribute to the economy, also to continue to afford their rent. Oftentimes, this is equal to a week or 2 of wages. We think it goes a long way to help encourage and help them with their bills as their tenants and leases continue. So we'd ask for your yes vote.
Thank you. Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Questions of the committee? I would note that this is a candidate for the suspense file. Mr. Lackey, would you like to close?
Yeah, just real briefly, I know that this committee faces many challenges and the need to balance many competing priorities with limited tax funds. And there is a significant fiscal cost, but however, I believe that the middle class and those who are very much struggling would greatly benefit, and there are very few things that we can offer them, so I hope that you'll consider supporting this, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Without objection, AB 2694 will be referred to the suspense file. File item 28, Mr. McCarty. AB 2726. Mr. Allen, file item 142544. This is a suspense candidate.
Thank you. I was going to go basically to put it out there.
When you're ready, gentlemen.
Sound good? Yes. Great. Thank you again, Mr. Chair and committee members. I'm here today to present AB 2544 with my joint author, Assemblyman Quirk. The language before you is a product of hours of stakeholder meetings between my and Assemblyman Quirk's office, the startup community, as well as the Franchise Tax Board. AB 2544 is intended to bring more investment into California to boost our economy and encourage more startup companies to locate in California by creating a premier vehicle for the startup community called a Qualified Investment Partnership, or QIP. Specifically, the bill will add an extra section to the FTB filing forms for entities to certify under penalty of perjury that they are qualified investment partnerships. Given that it may cost millions of dollars to successfully start a company in the modern era, startups have begun raising funds from investors who each invest small and sometimes very small amounts of capital. One of the most effective ways for a startup to accept this capital is to pool the investors into an investment LLC, or a qualified investment partnership, that is solely an investment holding entity with no overhead and no staff. These entities are largely not being formed in California currently, however, because of the $800 filing fee that we have in California. To give you an example, If $80,000 was invested in a startup company that had a 10-year horizon, the investor would essentially have to pay $8,000 or 10% of their capital in the startup to pay annual filing fees. And because of this, the current tax structure in California continues to deter the investment community from bringing their money to our state.
Thank you. Joint Author Quirk.
Yes, so this bill came up last year. I was very interested in it, and working together with Mr. Allen, we looked at amendments that would make this a better bill. First of all, we did make sure that we're only looking at business entities that actually are doing business in California. We also wanted to put in a sunset, so there's a 5-year sunset so we can see how well this is working. And then probably most importantly, we're going to get the Franchise Tax Board to look at what sort of corporations are asking for this break, and we're going to make it prospective. So we're not going to grandfather anyone in. We're just going to look at limited liability corporations as they go forward. So those were the amendments that we will be taking in the next committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quirk. Witnesses with affirmative testimony.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I'm here as the Chief Operating Officer of AngelList. So we're a platform that helps these early stage startups meet the investors that end up funding them. And we've helped about just under 1,000 startups meet the investors that have funded them. One of the reasons that we exist is because of how financing has changed recently. It used to take millions of dollars in the first round of financing in order to start a company, and then they would go talk to venture capitalists. Today, in order to raise the smaller amounts, which is great that it takes less money to start a company, but they need to now take smaller checks from angels, and that can get very difficult if you get 20 or 30 or even 50 angels writing you small checks and you have to deal with them all individually. And that's why these qualified investment partnerships make sense, is you're able to combine them into a single group, and then the company deals with essentially one investor at that point. And the investors prefer it because they get to deal only with that first investment, and then somebody else looks after the paperwork for dealing with the company. As was mentioned earlier, these are difficult in California, and because of the small amounts of investing of dollars involved, that's where this really helps. As a result, what happens today is investors generally do not do these in California. So there's two options. Larger investors are able to do them out of state, which also hurts us because that moves all the service provision and everything else that comes along with it out of state. Smaller investors, sometimes the friction is high enough that they don't do them at all. They either insist on putting their check directly in the company, or if it gets too complicated, they say, okay, this is too much. I don't want to deal with all that paperwork. Both outcomes, I think, are bad for California. So this bill, I believe, helps a great deal in bringing that business back into California and making it easier to help startups.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Additional witnesses in support?
Thank you. My name is John Duncan. I'm a tax lawyer. I've been practicing in Silicon Valley for almost 30 years. I would be happy to answer any questions that people have, but fundamentally what I'd like to do is echo what Mr. Law has just said, that there is a friction that is in the system right now that is preventing people from closing deals, from making investments, and from participating. And the people who are being restricted are almost entirely the small investors. The large investors have a number of different ways of making their businesses work without having to worry about this problem. But we are very hopeful that we can get this done so that we can have a system that will work and be as close to frictionless as possible.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Questions of the committee? Oh, witnesses in opposition? Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Danielle Kando-Kaiser on behalf of California Tax Reform Association. We are in opposition to the bill. LLCs are used for all sorts of purposes, and the catalyst behind the fees for such entities. The minimum filing fee on minimum franchise tax has never been demonstrated to be deterrent to filing at any time. The MFT or annual tax and fee was enacted to ensure that all corporations and LLCs pay at least a minimum amount of tax for the privilege of conducting business in California, regardless of the business's income or losses. Thus, the tax is not an income tax, but rather it is a tax on the right to exercise the powers granted to a corporation conducting business in California. Even when a business earns no income, it still receives the benefit of its corporate status, including the limited liability protection under the laws of this state. Further, there is nothing to limit this bill to small businesses in California. Therefore, there is no guarantee we get any fiscal benefit out of this. Rather, this appears to be a new tax avoidance strategy for venture capitalists. Significant tax incentives for tech companies already exist in California. Through its R&D tax credit, California already provides the largest tax credit for research and development in the country, close to $1 billion out of the state's budget. Again, we request your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition. Questions of the committee, Mr. Patterson?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Just a quick comment. Thank you for bringing this forward. Thank you for trying to improve it and get it through the legislative process. But I'd like to just be a voice also for all of the other small LLCs throughout the state of California. Imagine you're starting out in a business, you've gone to school, you've worked really hard, you're ready to go, and the state of California says you're going to have to pay $800 before you hire a single person, make a first dollar, do anything. To me, this is a bigger problem than the one you're attempting to solve, and yet I do appreciate the fact that you're trying to chip away at it, and I'm going to be pleased to try to vote this out of this committee when it comes. Appreciate the work, both of you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from the committee? I would note that businesses, even those that are not housed in California, those limited liability corporations have to pay the franchise fee. So it doesn't discriminate against California entities in particular. I have been pleased to work with the authors of the bill. I do have concerns as stated by the opposition, but we'll be supporting this off of suspense as a work in progress, and we'll see if there's any further iterations and if we can learn more about what we seek to do with qualified investment partnerships. It may be an opportunity, and if it is to pass as in this version, we'll have 5 years to figure it out. I thank you, those proponents of the bill, for coming up with a creative attempt. I'm not sure that it will pan out, but we'll attempt to see if this is in fact a viable tool to increase the California investment in California startups. With that, gentlemen, you may close each in your own time.
Yes. So with regard to the opposition, again, these corporations essentially do no business. So when the Franchise Tax Board looks at it, it's all blank. It's simply a way of funneling money, and we would rather have these done in California than out of state. And that's really what the bill is about. So it doesn't affect a business that's actually doing business. This is just a way to funnel money, and we're going to, again, just do this with the least possible friction as stated by the witnesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Just, I think my co-author said it perfectly. I'd also like to thank the Assembly. Actually, the Legislative Tech Caucus has made this a priority bill of theirs, and we're appreciative of that. Also, Assemblymember Mullen is a co-author on the bill. And just to reiterate, this does not affect companies that are actually doing, business in California. This is really just to facilitate these qualified investment partnerships that are currently being formed in other states. It's to make sure we get them done here. And as the chair has noted, any fees that they would be subject to, they will absolutely be paying. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is a suspense candidate without objection. We're going to move AB 2554 to the suspense file. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, I see you here. You have two items. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. McCarty. Did he leave? Okay. Oh, okay, no, go ahead. Ms. Lopez, file item 2, AB 1791, or file item 16, in either way.
Okay.
And let me check, hold on a second, let me see. Which one are you going to take up?
Yeah, I'm going to
Two?
take...
Which one are you going to do first?
1791.
91? That is a suspense candidate. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Today I'm pleased to present AB 1791, which will be a set military retirement pay as income when the veterans are filing their taxes. I understand that bill will be impacting the general fund. Whatever, I ask you to consider how much time veterans in the United States have to put in to eligible for retirement. And for many veterans who receive this pay, they have served our country for at least 20 years. In most cases, the exception is that least that our state can do for those veterans. Thank you for your consideration, and I would like respectfully ask for your aye vote.
No problem. Without their witness testimony in the affirmative. Witness testimony in the negative. Questions of the committee. All righty. I would note again that this is a candidate for suspense. Would you like to close on 1791?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, without objection, AB 1791 will be moved to the suspense file. We're going to move now to file item 16, AB 2625. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. First, I would like to accept the committed amendments. Today, I'm pleased to present AB 2625, which seeks to create 5-year reduction for a small business based on each small business actual income for the first 5 years. This bill creates a tax structure for the business who make $150,000 or less a year. Today with me is Matthew Gray to testify in support and to answer any question you might have.
Thank you. Witnesses in support?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to present this bill, and thank you to our author. This is a very important bill for small businesses in a way that might not be readily understood. A number of California small businesses that are fully compliant and pay their fees are not on a level playing field with the small businesses that then incorporate out of state, where California doesn't get their revenues and we don't have the increase to the general fund. We view this as a way of not only leveling the playing field, but also increasing the revenues to the general fund, because right now there are a number of law firms and organizations that entice California businesses to incorporate in Wyoming and South Dakota and Nevada and other states, and I would argue illegally, because it's a form of tax evasion by not paying the corporate code. So we believe if we actually lower the fee temporarily, think of it as a sale to get new customers through the door, and then we base that upon actual revenues, we start to increase it. So not only do we now know who the businesses are, we have an accounting of who they are and the contact information and the revenues, but now they've also had the opportunity to start building up their revenues. So when it comes time in a couple years when the fee keeps increasing based on the revenues, they're paying the full minimum franchise tax. So now we get new customers through the door. We have more states incorporating in the state, more businesses incorporating in the state, and some have offered that the franchise tax fees, the minimal franchise tax, is not a deterrent. This is the very deterrent of why businesses go to other states to incorporate. They're in California, they're doing business in California, they should be incorporating in California, and we wholeheartedly believe that this will increase revenues to the general fund and cause more incorporations for these small businesses that want the protections of incorporation in California. So this is an opportunity where it's a win-win for many people if we just take pause and look at it on the merits. And we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition.
Samantha Corbin on behalf of the California Tax Reform Association. Unfortunately, in opposition to this measure, we would disagree with my colleague that about the MFT as a barrier to business formation. Again, have seen no evidence over many years that this is actually a problem. Also, the problem with minimum franchise tax exemptions is that many companies subject to the MFT are held for any number of purposes and may even, in fact, show zero in gross receipts or income or very small amounts of income. It's not clear from this bill if companies held or owned by other companies would be excluded, and so therefore we're even uncertain if it would create the level playing field as written that the author intends to create with the bill. For this reason, we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition. Questions of the committee? Ms. Lopez, as is noted, this is a candidate for the suspense file. Would you like to close?
I just respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you. Without objection, AB 2625 will be moved to suspense. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Mr. McCarty, file item 23, AB 2726. File item 27. This is suspense.
23.
This is the suspense candidate, Mr. McCarty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present this measure which would help California families save for college. Essentially, it would create a tax incentive, a 20% credit up to $500 to create a scholarship 529 savings account. As we know, college costs in our state are skyrocketing, student debt is soaring, yet too many families are not saving for college. Only 49% of families with children under the age of 18 save for college. Of those, only 27% use a tax advantage 529 savings program. 33 states in the nation have a program like this. California does not. This was put us at par to help families get on the right track to save money for their college future. We also know that too many low and moderate income families are not saving for college. This bill would provide a great incentive to allow them to do so. The research is crystal clear that shows that individuals that save for college, even if it's about $500, are 3 times more likely to enroll in college than those without any savings at all. I'm pleased to present this bill sponsored by our Treasurer's Office, and also with us today our TIA, who is the administrator for the program in California. Ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Witnesses in support?
I'm Stan Zito from ScholarShare. This is ScholarShare, the state's administered 529 college savings program. We currently have assets at about $6.5 billion in over 270,000 accounts. I'm here to answer any technical questions about the ScholarShare program or the bill.
Thank you. Additional witnesses?
Hi, Brian McAndrews with TIA. We are the state's 529 program administrator. We run 10 similar state-wide programs, and we strongly support this legislation.
And congrats on the new name. I read your social media posts about that.
It's a lot easier to say.
Yeah, it is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Vanessa Garcia on behalf of State Treasurer John Chung, who is the chair of the ScholarShare Investment Board and the sponsor of the bill, in strong support.
Thank you. Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition?
Samantha Corbin on behalf of the California Tax Reform Association, unfortunately in opposition to this measure. While we do believe that it is important, certainly, to direct funding to those most in need to attend college, studies have consistently shown, even at the federal level, that these type of credits do not actually necessarily result in students going to college who otherwise would not. So with the $150,000 limit and the fact that low-income folks would be unable to even use this credit, we would recommend instead that the author consider directly appropriating cash into a fund that would actually be used to ensure students could attend college. Thank you.
Any additional witnesses in opposition? Questions of the committee? Mr. McCarty, this is a candidate for suspense. You may close. I would add that I salute what you're attempting to do it's not untrue that low-income families have, I don't know what the information Scholar Share may already have on what adoption we see with low and moderate income folks, but this will help in general, I'm quite sure, with the cost of saving and the like. It's a meritorious proposal, but you may close.
Yeah, just want to ask for the consideration of the committee, and also note that we have looked at a credit versus deduction. Those are two issues that we'll be taking a look at going forward, but certainly hope to move forward today.
Thank you. Without objection, AB 2726 will be moved to the suspense file, and we'll deal with that in the suspense hearing. File item 18, or do you want to do Mr. Gibson's bills first? Mr. Mullen, what's your pleasure? Okay, go ahead. AB 2668, file item 18. This is a candidate for suspense. Doesn't he have another bill? Oh, Mullen 10.
That's already on suspense.
Oh, sorry. Got it. Okay. And this is a suspense candidate, Mr. Mullen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. First off, I'm happy to take the amendments noted in the analysis as well to clarify that AB 2668 take effect with voter approval of ACA 12. AB 2668 allows seniors and any severely or permanently disabled person to transfer their property tax basis to another home, even if the home they purchase is of a higher sale price than their original home. In some parts of the state, it is possible to actually downsize, that is, move out of a larger home and into a home with a smaller square footage and actually pay more for that new residence. Imagine a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 18-square-foot home built, say, in 1965 that hasn't been updated, has a roof that needs to be replaced, maybe has plumbing or other maintenance issues. The folks living in the home have raised a family, the kids have moved out, they are empty nesters who are nearing or have reached retirement. They don't need to live in a home that large. It would be a perfect house for a young family to move into. The reality is a 1,200 square foot 2-bedroom condo with modern amenities may and is likely to sell for more than the older home that I described. As you know, Prop 60 allows homeowners over the age of 55 as well as a severely or permanently disabled person to transfer the base year assessed value of their principal residence to a replacement home in the same county. Prop 90 allows such transfers to a home located in a different county so long as that county has agreed to participate in the transfer program. Under Props 60 and 90, the value of the replacement home must be equal to or less than the value of the original principal residence. AB 2668 allows a transfer to a replacement home of a value greater than that of the original residence. To ensure that homeowners do not receive more of a property tax benefit than that to which they are entitled, the bill requires that the difference between the value of the replacement home and that of the original residence is added to the base year assessed value. A companion constitutional amendment, ACA 12, will have to go on a statewide ballot and be approved by the voters to authorize the changes contained in this bill. Before you, I have here with me Christopher Carlisle of the California Realtors Association to speak in support of the bill.
Thank you so very much. Witnesses in the affirmative.
Christopher Carlisle with the California Association of Realtors. We're the sponsors of this measure. First, I want to take exception to how this bill has been characterized by the opposition. They'd have you believe that this is about allowing seniors to buy more expensive homes. This isn't about letting seniors buy more expensive homes. This is about helping seniors who have been forced to pay more than they'd like for the replacement home. And let's keep the demographic in mind. These are people who are concerned about whether their savings are going to get them through retirement. These are not people looking to buy a more expensive home. Interestingly, Prop 60 provides for the two more rare circumstances in which a transfer is going to occur, where they, for example, sell their original residence and then they can wait up until 2 years to buy the replacement residence, or they buy the replacement residence first and then sell their original residence. This bill deals with that more common circumstance in which you're going to buy and sell simultaneously. And under Prop 60, if you're $1 over, you can't make that transfer. That cannot have been the intent of the voters when they passed these measures in the late 1980s. And I want to finish on that note. The voters have very clearly expressed their intent that we need to help seniors in this manner. And we're just doing a minor technical fix here to let them do that, let them move out of their home when they're downsizing, let a family that's just starting out move into that home. Let's increase the stock of affordable housing that's out there.
Thank you.
Ask for your aye vote. Answer any questions you might have.
Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition?
Samantha Corbin on behalf of the California Tax Reform Association in opposition to this bill. I do appreciate the sentiment about ensuring that seniors are able to purchase and stay in homes that are affordable. Would disagree, though, with the proponents of this bill for a couple reasons. This bill would require, as the author stated, that an individual would actually have to come up with the difference, which means they would actually have the money to supplement the base value transfer, which is pretty significant, can be in the thousands of dollars. And because there's a broad scope associated with this bill, it's not necessarily limited just to seniors on fixed incomes who are of limited means. We're talking really about anyone here who could, in fact, abuse this to upgrade to a more expensive home. And short of the scenario that was outlined by the author in which the home is, in fact, dilapidated, you're generally not going to see someone downsizing into a home of similar value and quality that is significantly larger in cost. In fact, one of our concerns about this measure, if enacted, is that it would actually create a scenario in which seniors would be then competitive with lower middle-income families who are growing and trying to get into properties and obtain affordable housing to begin with. So we have a variety of concerns outstanding on this measure, and at this time oppose the bill.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition?
Betsy Hammer with the California State Association of Counties, also respectfully opposed unless amended.
Thank you. Questions of the committee? Before you close, Mr. Mullen, I know that this is a suspense candidate. Given that you're a member of the committee, I'll mention for the concerns on the suspense file will be limiting this to household income less than the median income of the county. And then you've already talked about the technical amendments, I believe, if I heard you correctly. As everyone on this committee knows, but just for our own remembrance, our own memory, property tax has a unique position in this committee. It is not collected by the state, but it impacts state revenues. Property taxes fund local governments, in some cases special district and schools. As a result of the funding of schools, if there's a reduction in property tax, the state general fund is obligated to make up the difference, the backfill through Proposition 98, and education is consistently, more than property taxes, a concern of voters across the state. With that, please close.
Respectfully ask for your aye vote. I know this is a suspense candidate. My motivation here, Mr. Chair, is to turn over the housing stock, encourage empty nesters who might want to live in a property closer to walkable downtowns, that kind of thing. That's the motivation here. Appreciate the chair's concerns about impacts on property tax. When these properties do turn over, they will be reassessed. That will be additional revenue into the budget, but I understand that the goal here is to bring some revenue neutrality as best we can. With that, I respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you. Without objection, that file item 18, AB 2668, is moved to the suspense file.